gang opened fire along the way from Deir el-Zor in El Sur area, killing the victims instantly. A team of international observers visited the site of this terrible crime. Last week, another gang assassinated Sheikh Mahmoud Hassan al-Gnash in Deir el-Zor and wounded his daughter, who was with him in his car. Terrorist gangs continued to target national expertise. They murdered Colonel Ahmed Salman Mualla in Jobar. 5 terrorists opened fire as the colonel stood before his house preparing to go to work. In Daraa, another terrorist gang murdered Lieutenant Colonel Qais Sarut of the branch of criminal security in Daraa together with his driver. A terrorist gang in 2 cars opened fire as the officer was leaving a barber's shop. They kidnapped his driver and killed him in cold blood. In Idlib, a terrorist gang murdered the young man Osama Bahar Ghandour in the countryside. 6 terrorists stormed the pharmacy where he was working and shot him dead. 192 people involved in recent events who did not commit any crime surrendered themselves and their weapons to the authorities in Hama and Tartus. Their situation was settled and they were immediately released after pledging not to carry weapons or to take part in acts of sabotage. The site of Al-Qazzaz explosions was visited by a Russian media and academic delegation. Members of the delegation expressed solidarity with Syria against such acts of terrorism. The delegation also visited the customs area in Damascus. It asserted that such crimes of terrorism violated the principles of the law, security, human rights, and peaceful solutions of disputes. The delegation asserted that terrorism was unacceptable from whatever party it might come. Dr. Faisal al-Miqdad, Deputy Expatriates and Foreign Minister, reviewed with the Russian delegation details of the current conditions in Syria and discussed the American Western attack targeting Syria and supported by some regional countries. Members of the delegation expressed support of the Russian people and leadership for Syria to confront this crisis. Dr. al-Miqdad pointed out that the American Western attack on Syria is an implementation of the Israeli policies that target Syria for its national stand, especially the Palestinian cause. He also underlined Syria's appreciation of the stands of the Russian people and leadership.
She missed the bus on Thursday, so she took a cab with her colleague to work, but she never made it. She was killed by the terrorist explosion in the Qazzaz area.
Dima usually went out at 7:30 in the morning to reach her place of work at 8 o'clock. At 10 o'clock, one of her colleagues told me that she took a cab with her colleague. 2 minutes later, he saw the explosion 100 meters away. Dima was killed instantly.
May God take revenge from the terrorists. This is an act that no human being can approve.
Mr. Gennady Gatilov, Russia's deputy foreign minister, affirmed that Russia would foil any draft resolution in the UN Security Council that aims at allowing military intervention in Syria. He called attention to the involvement of Al-Qaeda in the terrorist attacks witnessed in Syria during the past few days. Mr. Gatilov told reporters in Moscow that Russia would never allow any resolution concerning the use of force. He also called attention to the fact that the international community is increasingly inclined to see the implementation of the Annan Plan in Syria. A team of international observers visited Douma in Damascus countryside and the quarters of Al-Qusur and Al-Khalidiyya in Hama. Another team visited the sites of the terrorist explosions in the Hanano Square and the Carrollton Street in Idlib and noticed the damage caused by those explosions. The spokesman of the peacekeeping office in the Chinese Ministry of Defense has announced that 6 Chinese military observers affiliated to the UN headed to Syria to join the international observers mission. The number of the Chinese military observers in Syria would reach to 8 as other 2 Chinese observers reached Syria on the 20th of last April.